Now let's look at currency exchange. When I change from maybe Australian dollar to New Zealand dollar, we need to have a particular currency exchange going on in between those because the value of the dollar is different from country to country. So this is where ratios is also applicable. Watch this. Now some of this you might be familiar with. This is the dollar, as you know, the cent, okay, the pound, English pound. New shekel, do you know what this is one? This is probably the Israeli money exchange symbol. And you know, the euro, yen, Japanese yen, rupees. So for like Indian money, peso. Okay, like Mexican peso. So some of them you might be familiar with. These are the very common exchange icons that we use in everyday life. Trying to be familiar with this. Teacher's not going to be testing you what is this icon presenting, but it would be a good idea to know some of this stuff because it's very useful in our currency exchange section. Okay, so let's get started. Starting with question 34, we're going to be doing a lot of currency exchanges in here. 1 Australian dollar is exchanged for US dollars 0.76. Okay, so 1 Australian dollar is equivalent to US 76 cents basically. So A, how much in US currency should you get for $20 Australian? If you like, guys, you can write a little notation here. You can write AUD for Australian. Australian $1 is equal to US 0.76. Just write that down somewhere. I just always like to write the key information down somewhere. If I want to get $20, we can write it like this. So Australian $1, so I'm going to write it like a ratio. Because Australian $1 is equivalent to US 76 cents, I'm going to write it like this as a ratio, Australian to US. It says how much US currency. So I want to know how much US dollars, so I'll just call that X dollars. I want to know how much US dollars is equivalent to Australian $20. Now the important thing here, guys, is that see how I put the Australian dollar on top? That means you've got to put the Australian $20 on the top as well. You can't switch this the other way around. Remember how I always say ratios, the order is very important. So in this case, Australian to US, this one must also be Australian to US, not US to Australian. Okay, so make sure you keep your order right. We've got a ratio. A fraction equals to a fraction. We can just cross multiply. $1 times X dollars is just X, right? And you can just say 20 times 0.76. Okay, I just got rid of all the units because you don't need units in ratio, so I just got rid of it all. So X will simply be 15.2. So we can say it's US $15.20. It's a good idea to write it exactly with the U in front for the US. And make sure you add the 0 at the end. Some teachers will mark you down if you don't put that 0 at the end. Money has to be always 2 decimal places. Now B, how much in Australian currency should you get for US 20? So this time it's not Australian $20, it's US $20. What I'm going to do is do the same kind of thing, use the same ratio. So Australian to US, but this time they give us US. So I'm going to write like this. So see how I'm using the same ratio? Australian $1 to US $0.76. This time we want to know how much Australian dollars we can get with US $20. So I let the Australian money be just Y dollars. Make it any pronumeral you want. Australian US, Australian US. Keep it the same order. It must be corresponding. Just cross multiply. Yes, you can get rid of all your units. Just work with the numbers. So we can say Y times 0.76 is 1 times 20, and here I just made Y the subject. So if you want me to do it for you, I'll show you. Y times 0.76, so actually I'll write 0.76 first. 0.76Y equals to $1 times $20, which is just $20, so 20. And then I need to get rid of this, right? So I just divide by 0.76. That's what I have here. And you can just plug that into your calculator and that's what you should get. So final answer should be written like this. Australian, $26.32. That's all you need to say. Okay, so again, just using ratios, just our usual stuff, nothing different.